I've been fishing professionally for over 31 years now, and sometimes I get incorrectly labeled as a bass angler. And even though I fished Bassmaster tournaments and did a lot of serious tournament fishing for a lot of years, nowadays when there's no camera around and nothing is serious and I'm not working, I do one thing and one thing only. I go crappie fishing. I live for the thump. Hey, I'm glad you're along because we're going to explain what that is and how it affects you coming up next, because this is Fox Sports Outdoors.
It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors Southwest.
Some folks call them paper mouths. Some folks over in Cajun country, Louisiana and Mississippi, call them sac-a-lait. I call them crappie. Whatever you call them, we crappie anglers live for one thing and one thing only. We live for the thump. You drop the crappie jig down there where that crappie's hanging, he sucks it in, and you feel that thump on the end of your line, and it is game on. Hey, I'm excited you're along with us on this week's episode because we're going to take the time to show you some tips and techniques that will help you fill your cooler with some great tasting, great fighting crappie at a local lake or reservoir near you. To help us do that, this is Cedar Creek Lake. It's located in East Central Texas. While we're doing that, we're taking you around your local region for your fishing reports for the week from our expert team of insider reporters. We're in for a lot of fun. This boat goes in Cedar Creek Lake, and you go back to the studio for your weekend planner where it all gets started.
Hi everyone. Overall, the fishing outlooks for both days this weekend are listed as fair. The Salooner tables indicate that peak morning times will start at 6:12 on Saturday and 7:06 on Sunday, and the best afternoon activity will take place around dusk. Look for the sun to rise at 7:22 and set at 7:09. And evenings will feature a moon that is 62% visible. We'll be right back with freshwater and coastal fishing updates from around the region. Stay with us.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker. By Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. By Mercury Marine, official outboard of Fox Sports Outdoors. And by Lowrance Electronics, find, navigate, dominate.
You can see, I've got my Lowrance HDS Gen 3 unit here, and we've run across a brush pile right there where my finger is. That's the 2D traditional sonar image of a piece of brush hanging on the bottom. There is the down scan image of that same brush pile. Now, crappie love to get on brush piles year round. In fact, I'm going to throw a marker buoy back over my shoulder there to just give us a general idea of where it is, and we'll circle back on it. Three different kinds of brush we want to talk about. Number one is Corps of Engineers brush piles. All around our region, the Corps puts out big brush piles that they sink, and they usually mark them with a buoy. Second is man-made brush. People go out and cut willows and cut cedar trees, put haydite blocks on them, sink them to the bottom. Crappie love those. And the third kind of brush is natural trees that just grow up off the bottom or have fallen over and are laying on the floor of the lake. That's the brush that we're going to try to fish here beginning. Let it go down, right above that brush. Got him. How about that? That feels crappie. All right, there's a good start. And just like clockwork, we've got one keeper in the boat already. Little spinning rod, a small, about a 1/16 ounce Bobby Garland Moglo jig head with a, I'll show you the baits and stuff a little bit later, but a little swimming tail on the back. You let it swim across the top of that brush and thump. We've got one thump in the boat already. These fish go in the live well today. Let's get you some fishing and lake reports from your local area.
Hey, if you're looking for a place to take the family fishing and catching, Scott Porter and Robert Riley tell me it's Fort Cobb Lake here in Oklahoma. The two guys had a great recent outing there. Now, Scott says the lake level is back up to where it normally would be, but it was down for so long there's a lot of flooded brush, a flooded grass in the water. The shad is really in there. There's a lot of fish busting in there. They caught tons of small white bass, lots of little largemouth bass with a few keepers mixed in between both of those species. Scott said the best bait was a white rooster tail, and they also caught a lot of fish on a buzz bait. And he said that schooling activity didn't last just a few minutes, but 2 or 3 hours, so they had a wonderful outing on Fort Cobb Lake. Check it out. Wildlife Department officials report that work is being done on the penstock on the lower Mountain Fork River. That means there will be no hydro generation flows scheduled between September 28th and October 8th. The Wildlife Department has recently stocked some 9 to 11-inch rainbows in a couple of pools there, so that's going to be really good fishing without having to worry about what the generation schedule is on the lower Mountain Fork River. Check it out. Last thing, congratulations to Carol Jewell for this beautiful smallmouth catch on Lake Murray, fishing with son Charles. Sorry to hear about the loss of the Love family member to the Jewell family, but wonderful that the two of you got to spend some quality time together on beautiful Lake Murray. Charles tells me the smallmouth bass fishing is starting to really heat up now. I expect to hear more from him the next couple of weeks as what you can do to catch those smallmouth on Lake Murray. Wonderful time to be fishing here in Oklahoma, but one thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We're talking about catching crappie, and here's the next lesson for you. A lot of crappie live around floating boat houses and boat docks and piers. Now you can see here we've got a big old structure here, and there's a lot of shade and a lot of cover from these piers back under these docks, but the way you've got to get a bait to it, or to them, is you've got to shoot it in there. So I'll show you the setup that you'll need later, but you grab the bait, you flex the rod tip all the way back like this, and you simply let go. Takes a little practice, but you shoot it all the way back in that shade, way back to the back. You let it go to the bottom, and then you gently lift it up, and you just start letting it swim back in and swing. Got him. Right where he's supposed to be. Pretty good pull right there. Yeah, that's a good crappie. There we go. Shoot it all the way back under there. Let it go to the bottom and swim it, let it swing back. This is that Stren Crappie Mono, and it's the gold color, and it's really cool because it's dark. As you can see back under this dock right here, it's dark in there. And so I can flip this line or shoot this line all the way back in the back end, and I can see my line as it swings back, and I'm just watching that line, watching that line. A lot of times the bites will be really subtle. They're sitting back in that dark and they just open their mouth, inhale it, and you've just got to watch for a little bit of subtle movement in that line. A little dart sideways, maybe it goes halfway down and stops. Anything out of the ordinary, you set the hook, and you can catch a big old slab crappie just like that. Time right now for more Fishing and Lake Reports.
Hi folks, this week's Lone Star Lakes is brought to you by Hitch It Safe, makers of quality and affordable secure systems for your trailers. No matter what you're pulling, Hitch It Safe has a system that'll prevent it from being stolen and keep it attached to your trailering vehicle. Now this week we've come north from last week's segment on J.B. Thomas. We've moved up about an hour due north to Lake Allen Henry, another great West Texas success story due to the spring and summer rains. Now you'll find flooded rocky points all along this river lake system, and that's where you'll want to fish for your bass. You'll want to use your moving baits like deep diving crankbaits, medium diving crankbaits, and stay with chartreuse blue, crawfish colors, and maybe some white shad type colors on those baits. Early in the morning, your spinner baits will work, as will your topwaters in the calmer coves. You'll have to look to the back of those coves like Gobbler Creek to see where the flooded brush is. Crappie on Lake Allen Henry can be caught around, again, deeper brush piles about 15 to 20 feet deep. Use your standard crappie baits, either crappie jigs in a chartreuse or cinnamon teal color, or use your live minnows on a crappie rig. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Hitch It Safe, available on Amazon. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, Texas Outdoors Journal brings you this week's report, and our October issue is now on sale with its award-winning annual statewide hunting forecast and fresh and saltwater fall fishing roundup. Pick up a copy of Texas Outdoors Journal on area newsstands or subscribe securely at texasoutdoorsjournal.com or call 1-800-222-4TOJ. Well, a shift in winds to a more frequent northerly direction is beginning to push bait out of marshes and back lake areas on Sabine and in Galveston Bay. Lots of redfish are working in the marsh, along shorelines, and under birds. Now in the back lakes around Freeport and the San Bernard River along the Intercoastal Waterway, redfish and trout have been caught, set up in the back areas on rising tides and near the mouth of these areas around the shell reefs when the water drops out. Trout and redfish are on the move in East and West Matagorda Bays. Fish the drops around the mid-bay reefs as well as guts and shorelines around the grass beds. The red tide that has been plaguing the areas from San Antonio Bay to the National Seashore has killed a variety of game and bait fish. Anglers should avoid areas with high aerosol content and fish parts of bays that have not been affected. Check the Texas Outdoors Journal website for regular updates. On the lower portion of the Upper Laguna Madre around Baffin Bay, at Port Mansfield and Port Isabel, anglers are catching trout and redfish from the sand pockets while drifting grass beds. This weekend, Saturday has a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides. Sunday has a single low tide as the only tide of the day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
Got him. Way back under there. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. All right. Well, we got it working. You get a cast all the way back under the dock, let it go to the bottom, swing it back. These bad boys live under there, you get you a live well full. That's 2 good ones in a row, right out of basically the same spot.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. By Lew's, setting a new standard of fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. And by Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability.
Got him. All right, that's a decent fish. Okay. All right, welcome back everybody. We're still at Cedar Creek Lake today. And you can see right here behind me, see the buoy floating right there. And I found an area here that's got several pieces of brush. Found it on my side scan imaging, just driving around out here, 12, 13, 14, 15 feet of water, something like that. That one's going right here in the live well. And I've got my marker right here. You can see it right there. But the brush is about 15 feet to the left of it, and I know where it is now, and I've thrown that buoy there. 2 different ways to fish it. One is to pitch it out, let it go down to just above the brush top. So I know this brush is in probably 13, 14 feet, and it comes up a little bit, so I want my bait down about 10. So I get it down somewhere around 10 feet, pick up your rod tip, and let that bait swing back across the top of the brush pile. It's a horizontal presentation. A lot of times that will trigger a strike from a crappie. Now the second way is you get straight up over the top of the brush. So you look at your sonar, come right on top of the brush, open your bail, drop that bait straight down in the brush, let it get to the brush, lift up on that rod tip, hold it steady, and give it little small pops like that of the rod tip. And the pop on a crappie is a drop of the rod tip and a lift. Drop, lift, and you do that about once every 30 seconds on a straight vertical presentation. 2 different ways to make crappie bite, and I promise you, they'll bite differently on different days, and you've got to experiment with both. Time for more Fishing the Lake reports for you.
Hey friends, Captain Kevin Broussard here with your Fox Sports Louisiana Outdoor Report. We're talking saltwater fishing, we're talking Gulf Coast and Calcasieu Lake. We're going to start out with letting everybody say who they are and where they're from.
I'm Tony from Belize. Eric Nielsen from Houston.
Matt Tamao from Houston, Texas.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, what did y'all think about it today?
It was an excellent day. We got a good catch.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was a little windy. We had a front come through. We've been doing real good on trout and redfish, but today, like I said, it changed things up. We had to go out there. We were throwing live shrimp under a popping cork. We had to fish mainly shorelines, shallow water, try to get out the wind. Tell you what, as you can see here, we got a nice mixed bag of fish. Guys had a good time. But right now the fish are getting in the fall pattern all along the Gulf Coast. Tell you what, get out there, fish early, fish late. There'll be some birds starting to work here in the next front or two. We want to see you out there on the water. For old Cajun Phils, Captain Kevin Broussard and the gang here, saying happy fishing and may God bless.
Straight up and down. I can feel that brush. You lift up on the brush, drop it back, give it a little pop, take up the slack, lift it again. Got him. There's one. Good one. That's a good keeper. You want to use a net when you're crappie fishing like you see me doing here, because most of the crappie that I've lost in my lifetime have happened when I was lifting that crappie out of the water, and a lot of times they'll flop and flop back into the water. All right, right now headed to a commercial break. I want to do two things. Well, first I want to put this fish in the live well. First I want to tell you that we're going to be giving away some great gear on our Twitter feed. So you go to the Twitter address on your screen. We're going to give away 5 Fox Sports Outdoors jerseys, just like the ones I wear here on the show. And we're going to give away a bunch of hooks and some more gear. Lots of great stuff in about a week. Go to our Twitter feed at the address on your screen. All you have to do is follow us, click the follow button on Twitter, and you'll be eligible. The next thing I need to do is tell you that if you'd like to book a trip here, Chuck Rollins has a great guide service on Cedar Creek Lake. BigCrappie.com, easiest website in the world to remember all the information you need to book yourself a guide trip here. Come here and catch you a limit.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Motor Guide Trolling Motors. Introducing the XI5 for ultimate boat control. By Fort Worth Nissan. Fox Sports Outdoors is powered by Fort Worth Nissan. And by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro segment where viewers get expert insights from professional anglers. This week's question comes from Eric, who asks, should I put my topwater away once the sun is up, or will bass still bite it later in the day? For the answer, we checked with current Bass Master Champion Casey Ashley.
I love to fish topwater. Where I'm from, we're topwater fishermen. My biggest fish, more times than not, come in the 11 to 2 o'clock hour of the day on topwater. You're not going to get very many bites, but you'll catch the biggest fish in the middle of the day on top.
Thanks, Casey. If you have something to ask one of the pros, simply visit our website and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit your question. Now it's time for the Costa Catch of the Week, where someone wins a brand new pair of sunglasses.
This week's winner in the Costa Catch of the Week contest is Riley Langford of Georgetown, Texas. And she is shown here with a 28-pound mahi-mahi caught in the Gulf of Mexico. If you'd like to be our next winner, all you need to do is go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com, and on the right-hand side of the home page is the Costa Catch of the Week area. Click in that box, send us your photo, and you'll be in the contest. And if you'd like to see all of the Costa frame and lens styles, go back to the front page of our website and click on the Costa logo. It'll take you straight to their website. You can see all the frame styles and lens styles there, including the wonderful frame that I was wearing on this week's episode. It's the Rockport frame in the camo pattern. On the Academy Right Stuff, you'll need 2 very different setups to catch crappie on the 2 techniques we showed you today. First of all, to shoot the docks, you'll need a light action 5.5 foot Lew's Wally Marshall Signature Series crappie rod, and you can see it's very light action, very flexible, and you can completely double it over to shoot that jig back under the docks. Now, to swim over these brush piles and to fish vertically in them, you need a much heavier setup. This is a Lew's American Hero 6.5 foot speed stick. It's got a lot of backbone and a very soft tip. You can feel those strikes very well, and you can swim the jigs through and over the tops of the brush piles, and a portion of every rod purchased goes to an American Hero project to help take some of our wounded warriors fishing. As far as the baits go, you'll need 2 very different sized baits for these 2 different techniques for the crappie. First of all, on the bottom there is the small size to shoot underneath these docks for dock shooting. It's a small Bobby Garland 1/24 ounce Mo-Glo jig head. That blue color seemed to work really well today with the blue and chartreuse slab slayer body. Again, that's a Bobby Garland bait. On the top is a much heavier setup. That's a 1/8 ounce Moglo jig head, and on the back of that, it's a baby shad swimmer to swim across the tops of these brush piles and to fish vertically straight up and down in there. In July of 1972, the rhythm and blues song Lean on Me hit #1 on the charts. It was sung by an artist who is not well known today. His name was Bill Withers, and he had 2 other big hits, Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone, and Just the Two of Us. You may remember those. Here are some of the lyrics to Lean on Me. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain. We all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Wiser words have never been sung. I think back to one of the darkest times in my life, many years ago when I was making some very destructive choices and about to pay some terrific consequences. I did not have one other guy in my life that could be honest with me, who knew the good and the bad about me, and who could grab me by the collar and help set me straight. Now, many years later, life is much better. Hopefully, I'm making better choices now. The best advice that I can give is this. All of us need a buddy, a good friend that we can be blatantly honest with, who does know the good and the bad, and who has expressed permission to tell us the truth and help set us back on the path if we get off the good path. Yes, the words of this song are absolutely true. None of us can make it alone, and we all need somebody to lean on. I hope you enjoyed our trip today to Cedar Creek Lake in East Central Texas. We'll put up all the contact information one more time for BigCrappie.com. Chuck Rollins' guide service. He can put you on some fish here. However, remember, you can use these same techniques to catch crappie wherever they are, your favorite fishing lake, reservoir, or river. Hey, don't forget, we'll be back on next Thursday night, 10:30 p.m. in our regular time slot, with the repeat airing Saturday morning at 7:30. And don't forget that you can always see our latest episode 24/7 up on the front page of our website. And right below that latest episode, you can click on the archives button to get all of our past episodes, and you can click on that other link below it, the how-to link. Get lots of product videos and how-to videos that you'll never see here on the television show. And don't forget, you can go to our Twitter feed. You can click the follow button and be eligible to win great prizes like the jerseys that we're going to be giving away next week, along with some other great gear. And you can get lots of fishing news, photos, and video that we don't have time for here on the television show. And you can like us on Facebook, and you'll get a lot of that same kind of information that we can't squeeze into our half-hour show here. Hey, we'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Barry Stokes saying be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.